Welcome to the 12 Days of Christmas. It is time for the January staggering pile of possibilities. Now, I will tell you I'm going to timestamp this video. And I'm going to timestamp it into two sections. The pile of possibilities and the episodic reads that are going to go on all year until they're finished. And I will explain more when we get to the episodic read section. And by the time this video comes out, you will have seen 25 and 25 with Dave. And you will understand where some of these books are coming from. Now, I will say that I am excited about all of them. I want to read all of them. Is it realistic? That is a very good question. And, yeah, so... let's just jump in. And I'm just going to do them how they're stacked over here. So, first up is a book related to Dave's 25 and 25 choices, but he didn't grab this one. That is The Shadow Sister by Lucinda Riley. This is the third book in the Seven Sisters series. I wanted to complete this series anyway this year, so I'm not upset that he chose it. But this book doesn't count against that 25 and 25 tally. But obviously, I need to read it, so I can read the rest of the series, which is on his list. So I will read you the back of this one. After the death of her beloved adoptive father, Pa Salt, Star de Plessis is at a crossroads. Her father has left each of his 6 daughters clues to their true heritage, but Star, the most enigmatic of the sisters, is hesitant to step out of the safety of the close relationship she shares with her sister Cece. When she finally decides to follow her first clue, it leads her to an antiquarian bookshop in London and to the start of a whole new world. 100 years earlier, headstrong Flora McNichol vows she will never marry. She is happy and secure in her home in the Lake District, living close to her idol Beatrix Potter. But when machinations outside her control lead her to London and the home of one of Edwardian society's most notorious players, Alice Keppel, Flora is pulled between passionate love and family duty. As Star learns more of Flora's incredible journey, she too goes on a voyage of self-discovery, finally stepping out of the shadow of her sister and opening herself up to the possibility of love. I'm very excited to read this. Like all of them, it's a nice big thick chunky one. Storm Sister was book 2. It read incredibly quickly. I am so excited to read this book. So I will at least start it in January. Okay, next up on the pile would be the book club choice for January. It is also the group read for Jen's January reading challenge. And that is Persuasion by Jane Austen. Discord link, as always, to the book club is in the server. I will link Jen's announcement video for her January challenge as well. And this also fits for Epistolary January. It fits for Anne's reading challenge in January. I am looking forward to it. Okay. Next up would be the last minute addition to this stack. And by last minute, I mean this weekend, and I had to order a book and it arrived yesterday. I should mention, I am filming this on the 23rd of December. And that book would be Pamela by Samuel Richardson. And this is an Oxford World Classic. And there is a sticker I need to peel off on the back. And I will read you the quote on the back. Pamela, under the notion of being a virtuous, modest girl, will be introduced to all the families. And when she gets there, what scenes does she represent? Why, a fine gentleman endeavoring to debauch a beautiful girl of 16. So, this is part of Anne and I believe Charlene. I will link their videos in the description box down below. Year-long read-along challenge to celebrate Jane Austen's 250th birthday in December of next year. And this is the first book on the calendar. There were 2 choices for January, and I chose this one. I assume it is because it is mentioned in a Jane Austen book. This one was published, I believe, in 1740 something. Let's see. Does it actually tell me when it was published? No. I know it predates Jane Austen. I know it was published in the late 1700s, mid 1700s sometime. So I'm looking forward to this. It's, 500 pages. It looks like it's going to be a very quick read. So we shall see. Next up, this is for Epistolary January. This was going to be my choice for Anne's Read the Classics Challenge for the month of January. And that is Evelina by Frances Burney. It is an epistolary novel. It is completely epistolary. And I will read you the back. Frances Burney's first and most enduring popular novel is a vivid, satirical, and seductive account of the pleasures and dangers of fashionable life in late 18th century London. As she describes her heroine's entry into society, womanhood, and inevitably love, Burney exposes the vulnerability of female innocence in an image-conscious and often cruel world where social snobbery and sexual aggression are played out in the public arenas of pleasure gardens, theater visits, and balls. But Evelina's innocence also makes her a shrewd commentator on the excesses and absurdities of manners and social ambitions, as well as attracting the attention of the eminently eligible Lord Orville. Evelina, comic and shrewd, is at once a guide to fashionable London, a satirical attack on new consumerism, an investigation of women's position in late 18th century, and a love story. I'm looking forward to this. I really am looking forward to this. This also fits for the Epistolary Challenge. It fits several of those. It's set in a foreign country for me. The author is dead. It is over 400 pages. Yep, it's over 400 pages. And, it ticks a lot of boxes. So for 2 challenges, it works. And I will link all of Anne's challenges in the description box down below. And the next is a library find, and it is for Epistolary January reading challenge. And I shared this in my epistolary recommendations video in December, which I will link in the description box down below. And that is The Woman in the Library by Epistolary Gentile. This is a standalone, and it is not fully epistolary, but at the end of each chapter, there is what appears to be a letter. I don't know if it's a letter or an email. It does not have email headings, but it looks like it's an email because it isn't handwritten. There are also, there's correspondence, which again looks like it's email from various federal agencies. So it is epistolary adjacent. It is minor epistolary. How's that? If I can get myself out of the reading slump I'm currently in, this may get read right at the cusp of December and January because I really want to read this. It sounds so good. Okay, next up would be, and this is in my Discover Catholic Fiction genre video. That is Seed of Doubt by Ralph McInerney. This is, I believe, number 16 or number 18 in the Father Dowling series. And I know I read the back of it, the description in that video, so I'm not going to do that here. But this is Catholic fiction. It is, in particular, Catholic secular fiction. And I adore Father Dowling. Okay, and next up for Jeanette's 2025 Christian Fiction Challenge. Her first prompt for the month of January is to start a new series, and I cannot wait to start this book. That is Misspelled Magic by S.R. Crickland. This is the first book in the Liminal Library series, and I read the back of this in my book haul video, so I'm not going to do that here, but I will be reading this January 1st. January 1st. Start a new series. Yeah. Okay. And next up is a buddy read. This is for my buddy read with Amanda. This is book 2 in the Windy City Saga. That is Shadow of the White City by Jocelyn Green. I am so looking forward to this. I loved the first book. I will link my review of the first book down below. It was the inaugural book for book club. It was an absolutely fantastic read, and I can't imagine this one not living up to the hype of the first one. And you know, the cover is gorgeous, so you know, I will read you the back. She promised a dying father she would keep his daughter safe. She can't fail now. The one thing Sylvie Townsend wants most is what she feared she would never have, a family of her own. But taking in Polish immigrant Rose Dabrowski to raise and love quells those fears, until 17-year-old Rose goes missing at the World's Fair, and Sylvie's life unravels. With nowhere else to turn, Sylvie seeks help from her boarder and Rose's violin instructor, Christoph Bartok. Fluent in several languages, his skills are vital to helping Sylvie navigate the immigrant and international communities where their investigation leads. From the glittering architecture of the fair to the dark houses of Chicago's poorest neighborhoods, they're taken on a search that points to Rose's long-lost family. Is Sylvie willing to let the girl go? And as Christoph and Sylvie grow closer, can she reconcile her craving for control with her yearning to belong? Yeah. Just tell me when, Amanda, and I will dive right in. All right, next up. That would be, in my omnibus, The Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis. This is for Epistolary January, and reading the classics. It fulfills a bonus prompt for Anne and reading the classics challenge in that it has a male protagonist. It's short. It's less than 100 pages. Sign me up. Let's go. I talk about this book in my book haul for, which you will have seen, I believe, by the time this video comes out. And I am looking forward to it. It's not overly long, so that one should be easy. Okay. And now that leads us to two Dave books. I've started one, and the other I'm probably going to read sooner in the month rather than later, because it's either going to be a massive success or it's going to terminate me reading any further in the series. So that would be Children of Dune by Frank Herbert. I love the cover of this. I love the end pages in here. Let's see. The front end page. And if it holds true, the rear end pages are different. And it is. So there are the rear end pages. As you know, last year I read Dune Messiah, which is the second book in the original trilogy of Dune, and I was not a fan. Dave picked Children of Dune, so it crosses off a 25 and 25 book for me. So I'm going to read it this year and figure out if I want to read further. Okay, and the next Dave book, I've already started this. I'm not very far. I'm 100 pages in, so 100 pages out of 1,300 is 1,086 pages is not even a drop in the bucket. 10% in, actually less than 10% in. That is Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson. 25 and 25 book. The only way to get through them is, to pick it up and read. So I am going to be starting back from page 1 because I do not remember where I am at in the story. And I wanted to read this last year and I didn't start early enough, so I am starting with the big ones in January. And that's not the biggest one, it's just the one I have to read to get to the biggest one. So, there you go. I believe that is everything that is non-episodic. So, let me change books and bring you the episodic reads for January 2025. And now for the part of the video where we talk about episodic reading. I was already planning to do this a little bit. Not a little bit. I was already planning to do this before Dave picked his 25 and 25 books. And then it became a much bigger thing. So, I believe when this comes out, you would have seen my 25 and 25 roadmap. And in there I talk about, reading one Shakespeare play a month, and I talk about The Forest. So you knew it was coming, and then you see the stack of books and you begin to question my sanity. I question my sanity at this point. Be that as it may, I'm still doing it. I'm still doing it. So, let's do Shakespeare first because his books are the heaviest. So, this is my copy of the complete works of the Bard. And the first book, here's the graphic for what I'm reading this year. And first up is Two Gentlemen from Verona. And it's the very... Nope. Why is it not the first play? I swear it's the first play. Anyway, it's Two Gentlemen of Verona. And I'm reading that in January. And this is going to have to go on the floor. It's too heavy. And for every... Don't spill the coffee. Play, I am planning on reading the appropriate chapter of the Harold Bloom book. And that is Shakespeare, The Invention of the Human. And I love this book. I love his commentary. So every chapter, the chapter for every play isn't very long. So like the Two Gentlemen of Verona is less than 10 pages. So it's not like it's an excessive reading challenge. And I am going to enjoy it. So there you go. And my chart is wrong. Huh. I may have to go revise the chart. If I revise the chart, here's the revised chart. And according to this, Henry VI Part 1 should be first. I'm going to have to go check. Why can't any of these agree as to... Yeah, nobody agrees on the timeline. I'm sticking with my original timeline. Just is what it is at this point. It may be off, but if it's off, it's off. Okay. So let's do the Dave books first. The next 3 episodic books are all Dave choices. And I'm going to save this one for last of the Dave choices. So put it over here. Okay. So he picked Dracula and Other Horror Stories by Stoker. And obviously from the title you get that there are other stories in here. And it is... Hang on, that's the Dracula. He has 2 novella lengths and then a series of short stories. And I'm just going to read them in order until I've, finished the book. None of the short stories are very long. Looks like the longest is about 30 pages, and some of the other ones are as short as 9. So those won't be challenging. The first novella is less than 200. So although January is packed, I can do that, hopefully fairly quickly. And it looks like the first novella is The Jewel of 7 Stars. It is not epistolary. So we shall see. And then he chose Sherlock Holmes. So this is The Adventure of Sherlock Holmes and Other Stories. Again, it's just a collection. And I'm just going to, take a bite and finish them throughout the year. So I have read the Study in Scarlet. So next up would be The Sign of Four for January. And it is less than 100 pages. And, if I read each of these, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, If I read one a month, I'll finish this in July and I can knock it off. You know, I will finish Dracula before that. So I know of no other way to do this than the way I'm doing it. Okay. Next episodic read from Dave is The Rebels of Ireland by Edward Rutherford. This is the second half of the Irish saga, or the Dublin saga. And again, I am going to take a chapter a month and read it that way. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's 13 chapters. So 1 month I'm going to have to read 2, and it will be done by the end of the year. Some of them are longer than others. So, like January's chapter is 128 pages, and February's chapter is 70. So it's not a huge time commitment. I can get it done in a year. I enjoy Rutherford's writing, which is about to become very apparent. So in my roadmap video and my book haul video, I talked about The Forest by Rutherford. And I said it was the companion novel to Sarum, which I did not yet own. Dave purchased me a copy, although I do not like this cover, but it's very hard to get. So that is Sarum. And these go together. And I will read you the back of Sarum since I haven't done that yet. In Sarum, Rutherford creates a masterpiece of breathtaking scope that traces the entire turbulent course of English history. This rich narrative weaves compelling saga of 5 families: the Wilsons, the Masons, the family of Portus, the Shockleys, and the Godfreys, as their fates and fortunes intertwine over the course of centuries. Their greater destinies offer a fascinating glimpse into the future. And much like I said, my plan for The Forest was I'm reading a chapter a month. This one, I believe, has more chapters than there are months, so a couple of months I have to read like 2 chapters, which is fine. Some of them are shorter than others, so on a short month I will combine whenever possible. And like February is a short month, so I will combine the second and third chapter. I want to read them because they are episodic in nature anyway. Rutherford's writing makes a great choice to pick up, read one of the chapters, which is a completely contained story, and then you can go read other things and come back and read the next one. Yes, they're intertwined, but they pick up nicely, and I'm going to be discussing these 2 in particular on their own channel and Discord. You can join me or not. If you're curious, you can peek in. But Rutherford has this incredible ability to just weave a fascinating story that spans generations, and each generation gets to tell their own story, but you see history repeating itself and the growth and the changes. It's just, they're beautiful. So I am very excited about those. All of this episodic stuff I'm very excited for. It's just when you see them all stacked together, maybe I will take a picture and insert it into this video here because I'm not holding them all up because my hands would break. They're very heavy. It looks incredibly daunting, but that's okay. Much like you eat a bear 1 bite at a time, you read a big thick book 1 chapter at a time. That's all this is. Okay, last 2 books for episodic reading. And the first of those is The Complete Father Brown Stories by G.K. Chesterton. You've seen both of these books in my book haul video, which I will link down below. And I am going to probably read this over the course of, I think it's 5 months. And just because it's broken up nicely into, 5 months. And there's many stories in each of those sections, but each of those sections isn't very long. Like they average about 150 pages per section or so. I can easily do that in a month. And I am looking forward to this. I am looking forward to this immensely. The BBC series on Father Brown is amongst my favorite. And easy Catholic fiction every month. I'm not counting that as my one Catholic fiction every month, but it's easy Catholic fiction every month. Okay, next up and last in the episodic reading for 2025 is The Complete Stories of Flannery O'Connor. As you know, I love this cover. I know I've read the back of this in my book haul video. I have not read any Flannery O'Connor. I didn't even know who she was. However, I am very interested. I know there are 31 stories in here, and those 31 short stories obviously are at least 2 a month. Some months need to be 3. Easy to do. None of them are very long. They are definitely short stories, not novellas. You know, we're doing a story in 9 pages in some cases. So, oh, this one's even shorter. That one's 7 pages. So we're not talking. As you can see, we've been joined by Fireball, who's all worked up about something. So, that is the January staggering pile of possibilities. Even if you didn't count the episodic read, it's a lot of thick books, but I am excited. Now you guys understand why my, updates are going from weekly to bi-weekly. And, you're a very happy girl. So, hopefully you guys have a much more reasonable January pile of possibilities. Leave a comment down below, like and subscribe, and I will see you here next time at the Protagonist Pub.